Today, a brand new Minecraft beta brings in a Bedrock-only block of suspicious gravel. The way they added this was very mysterious. I would even go as far as to say suspicious, but it's interesting because they also added the 12 smithing templates which were missing, which means that now Bedrock has both of the features they couldn't have for technical reasons. The cherry blossom biome is here and the brand new armor trims are here, but it's really exciting to be able to play around with those and see how it works on a controller for the first time. But what is also incredibly exciting is going into this weird new block they've added, and it proves that, yeah, although they are not adding new features to 1.20, they are refining existing ones, and archaeology needs a lot of that, and so we'll see quite a few new features because 1.20 is not finished yet, and let's talk about it in today's video. There's going to be a lot to go through, but let's start by saying, hello, I'm AbbyXToyCat. This is the latest 1.20 beta/preview. It's available for all Minecraft Bedrock platforms that can accept both of those things, and it brings with it this exciting array of new items. So I'll assume you already know the basics of the armor trims, which is that you can use them to trim up your armor, and this will apply to basically anything in the game, with elytras and shields being notable exceptions. But yeah, you can take your diamond chest plate, you can take your rib armor trim and your gold if you want to, and you can put that onto it right here. It looks kind of nice in my opinion, but what you can also do is you can trim that diamond chest plate using diamonds if you want. You could trim that diamond chest plate using netherite if you want to really flex on people and say, yeah, I totally could upgrade to netherite, but I'm kind of happy with my diamond gear right now. This is the way to do it. I absolutely love the way that this works, and I love the way that you can have netherite on your gear without having to have netherite gear itself. But what I also love is the fact that, yeah, you could take your netherite gear and you could down trim it. You could put some gold on there, and you can get some of the nicest looking boots in Minecraft, in my opinion. This is a great update for customization, and the way you get these trims, which are also important, basically is 10 separate structures around the Minecraft world now have loot added to their chests. The notable weird thing here is that the bastions, which are arguably the hardest structure, maybe not the hardest structure because of this whole guy right here, but what is arguably the hardest structure to find outside of the ancient city, or hardest structure to beat, is the bastion, and you can get not only the rib armor trim, which I have on my chest plate right now, but you can also get the smithing upgrade. This will allow you to upgrade your diamond tools into netherite if you have a netherite ingot. If you don't have a netherite ingot because you spent it on your armor, you can't do that, but yeah, this is the way you've got to do things now, and that's kind of a big deal. Also, the other notable exception is this, the monument trim. You don't get this by raiding any chests in an ocean monument. Those don't exist. So instead, what you've got to do is you've got to go ahead and kill elder guardians. In my case, I killed something like 30 of them, and if you do that, you can get one of these trims. If you want to get lots of these trims, let's say I want to have rib armor for all of my stuff, I really love it that way, then what you're going to need to do is either go to these structures a lot of times, find a lot of strongholds, find a lot of end cities, etc, etc. By the way, every one of these does have its own thing, so desert temple, and then there's shipwrecks, and there's outposts, and there's the ancient city, and there's, honestly, it's really hard to tell for this one right here, jungle temple, I'm guessing, and then there's this one, which is for the, no, this is the one for the jungle temple, this is the one for the stronghold, this is the one for the end city, this is the one for the bastion, this is the one for the fortress, maybe the other way around on that actually. Point being, there's a lot more loot from different structures, and so a lot more reason to go across your Minecraft world. Funnily enough, these armor trims actually kind of solved an issue of diamonds we'll have to dive into later, because for now, as much as I'm sure you appreciate this brief explanation, I'm sure you're much more interested in suspicious gravel. So here's the interesting thing about suspicious gravel, it looks suspiciously like regular gravel. In fact, if I showed you back here a whole bunch of suspicious gravel, would you be able to tell me this is distinctly not gravel? Because if you could, then you might be able to actually know that only half of this is suspicious gravel, this, and this is suspicious gravel, while these ones are actually not. Maybe that's obvious looking at this, maybe it's not, but what is definitely obvious is the fact that there is a brand new block, and you might be curious as to exactly what it does, and that is the one question we can easily answer about it, because like suspicious sand, which can be brushed away using the brush block like so, takes a little bit of time, but you get some great resources if it's not a block you placed yourself, because if it's a block you place yourself, you get nothing, then suspicious gravel works exactly the same way. If it is naturally generated, you'll find some great ingredients in there, some wonderful loot table, and what will happen is once you've brushed it, a regular gravel block appears from it. In case you're curious about that, I can mine them and prove that for you. If it is suspicious sand or suspicious gravel, then you don't get the block back when you mine them, which is very interesting, even with a silk touch pickaxe, you can never actually pick these blocks up, and so showing them off is really weird. But why am I showing them off to you right here then if I can't show you the loot table? And that's because all they mentioned for suspicious gravel on the changelog is added suspicious gravel, a brand new block. They do clarify it's an archaeology block, but they don't say anything else about exactly where and what it will be useful for. And so the community had to make their best guess, and honestly, I think it's a pretty decent one to say, yeah, they said the sniffer would spawn only in underwater chests, and that's how you'd find their eggs. And so where might suspicious gravel be found? Maybe in those exact same structures. And sure enough, if you look around ocean ruins when they're in cold oceans, where it's gravelly at the bottom, you'll find occasionally some of this suspicious gravel. And as you can see, I can brush it and sometimes get myself some items out there. Ooh, look at that. I got myself an emerald. And so yeah, there is officially a brand new block, which is useful for archaeology, and this archaeology is done exclusively underwater. It's very, very hard to do without having some form of water breathing, but the rewards for doing so are sometimes nothing, it seems. But the rewards for wow, I got a gunpowder that time. The rewards for doing so are presumably going to be your ability to get the sniffer, which is a pretty fun way to have this whole mechanic work, I guess. How I really feel about it will be easier to tell once we've got more experience with it. But yeah, you can dig around. Is this even working? I don't even know at this point. We wouldn't be able to tell, would we? I might just be shoveling a regular block right here. The whole premise is a little bit bizarre, and honestly, being able to spot the difference between gravel and suspicious gravel while you're under so much pressure down here genuinely can be a very hard thing, but that's maybe part of the fun of getting yourself some suspicious gravel. Also, oh wait, there we go, that's a block right there. But we've also got ourselves the same stuff as before. Basically, more reasons to go and use this place, more reasons to find it, and more reasons to preferably not die. But yeah, I have to go dig that last block. I need to know. Oh yeah, this was a good one too. Glad I came inside for this. You know, we're looking for more ways to find diamonds underwater. This is one of them, I guess, which will be useful for the way they balance diamonds, which we'll have to dive into at some point. Anyway, Suspicious Gravel's loot table is very hard to find, and honestly, trying to work out exactly what it does as a block is something we're gonna have to wait and see as they finalize that later, but something we don't have to wait and see is the beauty of this block as it exists. I know what I want to see, a bunch more Suspicious Gravel, and so, there we go, that is much better. That is clearly the use that Suspicious Sand is meant for. I like my bamboo desert well, I like my cherry desert well, but this is clearly the one that is superior. I think it's suspiciously good how wonderful it looks, but there's an interesting question about this second suspicious block, and also an interesting question about the brand new structure that they've kind of hinted at, because are these things all going to tie in together? I mean, they've said it might be a library. You know what I think about when I think library? I think these brand new bookshelves could store some fun lore inside of them. That would be a great way to tie in the lore implication they've hinted there, but I also think that new suspicious blocks is an opportunity to make more of the game archaeological. Maybe right now they're just intending on desert wells, desert temples, and ocean ruins, but I still feel as though to make this library idea happen, you'd have to have something else happen in the default world, and so I'm thinking we might see some suspicious dirt, some suspicious cobblestone or stone later. That's something we have to wait and see about. I think another stone variant could be ridiculous, but it is very clear that regarding new features, Minecraft have said they're not announcing any major new ones, but the archaeology mechanic as a whole is definitely something we're gonna have to wait and see in future snapshots, in future betas and previews. That's where we're going to see the final kind of version of this, and I'm excited to see what goes down with that. Is archaeology going to be something most players are excited for, or is it just going to be the obvious pathway to get the brand new pottery shards, or the obvious pathway to get the sniffer? Or even, do you really want the sniffer? Is that going to be important? There's some really interesting questions that are happening around this, and for now, all we can say is the gravel sure is suspicious, and you know what else is suspicious? I mean, looking at my desert wells, they look pretty fine, but I think this desert well made of cherry right now, it looks fine, but I think it'd look a lot better if I trimmed the wood. Oh yeah, look at that. This is exactly how it's meant to be seen. Yeah, pro tip, if you're making a cherry desert well, this is how you do it, and I definitely think that is a normal piece of advice that applies to most people watching this video. Glad to help out in your days, but some things people see as doing the exact opposite of helping out is the changes to netherite. So now they've added it to Bedrock, and it seems pretty official that if you want to get netherite equipment post 1.20, you're going to need not only to mine all the ancient debris and the gold and make a netherite ingot and have a diamond piece of equipment to upgrade, you're also going to need to go to a bastion and find the template. This makes it a lot harder because either you need to explore a ton, you need like 8 or 9 or 10 of these to upgrade a full set of diamond tools, or you're going to need to duplicate those trims using diamonds and this recipe right here. And this is basically solving one of Minecraft's diamond problems. Before this update, there were only really 3 uses for diamonds, and after this update, although netherite is going to be harder to get, it's going to be more meaningful, arguably, once it's settled in, and you're also going to have more of a use for all of those excessive numbers of diamonds you have, because not only can you use them to trim up your gear, but also you'll be able to use them to make your, you'll be able to use them to duplicate patterns and get the rare ones over and over again to make a full set of decent armor. Is that going to be enough for late game players? Is that going to shift the needle on whether diamonds are worth mining or not? All I do know is you should definitely upgrade your netherite equipment now if you can, and also if you're going to be making a lot of trims, maybe mine those diamonds now as well. Honestly, 1.20 is one of the biggest updates we've had for a long time of things that would be better done before it rather than after it, so preparing for 1.20 is an important thing to do, and indeed it's going to be an important video for me to make. And so I want to mention, before we finish about talking about this beta is technically 1.19.80.21, and so although all of this stuff is in 1.20 so far, there are some few things they're going to be doing specifically for 1.19.80. There is going to likely be another update between now and 1.20. Crazy to say it's going to get to 1.19.80, and in that update you're going to see some piglin head block ear flapping. You're going to see the ability to, in fact, you're going to see the new potion changes. It seems likely they've removed the enchantment glint and they've changed the potions like they just did in the Java update yesterday. And yeah, they're also doing some tiny changes to stuff like instead of typing /fill with fence, it's going to say, birch fence and acacia fence, etc. are all technically split into separate names in the command system. They've also fixed a bunch of bugs, and they've got a tiny bit of vanilla parity, which is the search bar in creative inventory is now automatically selected while using a keyboard, which is honestly a handy thing. As someone who, when I'm using a keyboard, I'm like, why do I have to tap that? That's a cool bit of parity. That's going to make 1.19.80 an update worth looking forward to just in its own right. But overall, yeah, this is a small step towards 1.20. There is going to be now quite a few months of mostly bug fixes, but we are still going to see the odd feature here and there, like suspicious gravel. We're going to see, presumably when it comes to Java, more details about the loot table. Excited about that. And this update as a whole is going to have these small refinements made, and sometimes this is the interesting thing about big products. Even though the big features are the most exciting ones, these refinements are going to be the ones that affect the players the most and maybe make archaeology worthwhile or not, make the trims worthwhile or not. And so they're the ones I definitely think that are worth waiting for and keeping an eye on, and so that's precisely what I'll do on this channel. If you did enjoy this video, by the way, please do consider subscribing. I didn't even do the subscribe pitch to the end, but did you know greater than 99% of people who have died actually aren't subscribed to the channel, and greater than 80% of people who have subscribed to my channel are probably still alive. Those are definitely real statistics, and so increase your odds of being alive by being subscribed to IBX Toycat. That is a definite thing. I endorse that statement. That is legally binding, probably. That's how things work when you say them in YouTube videos, and so I hope you enjoyed this video, because I'll see you next time. Also, don't sue me if you have like a life-ending disease and you think subscribing to the channel will save it. Going to a doctor is a better idea than watching IBX Toycat videos, but only by a little bit. Can I say that? Yeah, I can. Thank you for watching. Bye. Oh, I'm also check out. Nah, screw it.